They used a small VFD in the smack middle of nowhere. Gritty red bricks and slanted broken metal tiles gave it this certain aesthetic feeling of nostalgia mixed with neglect. There were 5 other cars parked outside when we arrived. I knew one of the others from school. One of them, Ken, I had talked to. He was pretty chill, and I figured I would just hang near him after my parents left. The 5 of us were standing there awkwardly for a moment, alone, and I almost considered making a run for it. They wouldn't know, I told myself, or might not even care. Each of us was told to bring a costume from home, something that represented the fear that we were trying to overcome. I had brought a skeleton one from an old cartoon that had once given me nightmares. Ken was wearing a lab coat, like he was a doctor. The 2 girls were both dressed as witches, twins, and I could hardly tell them apart. I'm Melody, and this is my friend Jen. Is this your first chance to experience Asher's Grove? The girl said with a giggle. Something about her laugh seemed off. Before I could answer, we heard a shuffling of feet from the front of the building. It sounded like a clicking noise, a clinking and clanky way of walking, and a moment later, I realized why. Our instructor was walking with a cane. Welcome, children, my teacher said as they leaned against the cane and loomed over all of us. They were wearing what looked like a cape, a black cloak, and a glow-in-the-dark costume that resembled my own. It sent a shiver down my spine how sinister they appeared. It was all they said before promptly walking inside and turning on the lights in the facility. The 5 of us followed inside, and I looked around some of the workstations that were presented to us. For some odd reason, there were various embalmed animals lying on the floor, as though brought from a taxidermist office, and I immediately felt uneasy. It didn't look like it had anything to do with Halloween. What is this? I asked. Your assignment for today, the teacher said simply. The instructor offered us tools, what appeared to be surgical instruments of some kind, and then explained, in the real world, the first lesson you must learn is that life is not fair. These poor creatures had their lives snuffed out from them. They didn't have a choice on how they would die, and ultimately, neither do you. Jennifer laughed. Are you fucking serious? You're meant to be molded by society, whether you like it or not. You have roles to play, whether as a doctor, a psychiatrist, or even 2 young twins. These are roles you can't escape simply because you want to, the older man said. He turned towards us and smiled grimly as he took one of the animals and began to change its shape as though it were merely clay. You're feeling confused. You're asking yourself, why are you here? If any of this is even real, the teacher said softly as they walked to the door and locked it. The fact is that each choice that you made has consequences, and those should also be clear to you. What we present to you in this program is for you to realize what choices are the best ones to make. The ones that led you here. All right, I'll bite. What does the dissecting dead animals thing have to do with troubles that we have at home or at school? What do you mean, led you here? Our parents brought us, dipshit, Ken said. This is more than just make-believe. Halloween is real. The program is meant to reshape your entire process of how you think. Accept that your life can be shaped the way it's meant to be. And you will see that the impossibilities are endless, the teacher reassured us. But it didn't sound that way at all. He was saying one thing, but I could tell that he meant something else entirely. The instructor moved to the back of the room and took a seat while the 5 of us that remained tried to decide what to do. I looked down at the sculpture, feeling a faint memory prick under my skin. Was he saying that we had all been here before? I told my mom this was a stupid idea. You'll build character, she said. Dumb shit. Ken lamented as he sat down at the table. This was good enough for me. I knew that While the program was voluntary, the teacher likely would give a report to both the school and my parents. As odd as this task was for us, I didn't see much harm in it, so I took some of the instruments and got to work. An hour passed by, and then 2. It was time for my parents to come back and get me. As the clock hand drifted towards the next half hour, I decided to bring up the issue with our teacher. Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but shouldn't you call our parents? I asked. The elderly man leaned forward. He was looking amused. And why would I do that? He asked. Ken, Melody, and Greg were taking notes of our conversation now because of his strange response. It's getting late, Ken said as though it were obvious. In fact, I could already see some of the sensors going on outside the small building. It was very dark. I had hoped to go trick-or-treating. You won't be going home. You can call them if you like, if they still remember you, he sneered. Melody slipped out her smartphone and gave a ring to her mom. Hey, where are you? The next few seconds, I watched as her face went from one of puzzlement to disbelief. What the hell? What do you mean you don't know who this is? Mom, this isn't funny, she said as she walked about the room. I was busy finishing my dissection as the instructor stopped by to give it a look. You should stop. You're only ruining the work, he corrected me. Then he coughed to get everyone's attention as Melody paced the room. You should know that everything is as it should be. There's no need for concern or alarm. You'll be staying here. I've made arrangements for you to sleep in the cots in the attic, and tomorrow we'll be checking out the forest for more samples. What? We can't stay here. Ken was dumbfounded. I think you'll find that you can. And that you will, the old man responded. I heard a low rumble of thunder and frowned in desperation. There's a storm rolling in. Maybe the roads are closed, and that's why our folks couldn't get here, I guessed. It was a flimsy excuse, but it was all I could offer. In reality, it felt as though something beyond our control was happening. And I thought I heard the old man snicker in delight as Jen and Melody began to whimper. Good night, my children. He went to a stairwell, and we watched as he descended towards the basement. Finally alone, Melody made a bold accusation. Is this guy trying to freak us out or something? I mean, it is Halloween. Maybe this was part of overcoming our fears. It's probably part of this program. It's whatever. I'm sure our folks probably are laughing their heads off, probably right now, about all of this. I mean, I swear, when I get home in the morning, I'm going to make their lives hell. Jen promised. I could tell she was trying to sound confident when none of us really knew for sure what was going on, especially as the hours started to tick by. The dark of the night loomed over Asher's Grove, and we felt trapped. Maybe we actually were. The storm raged louder that night, and on until daybreak. Somewhere amid the crashes and the cold, I heard Melody whispering to herself. Dead. Now. Dead here. Now we all have reason to cheer. Was she going insane? I looked down at her bed in frozen place. It looked like she was starting to fade away. Her eyes bulged open and we locked eyes with one another. Don't be afraid. We'll be together soon. And then she was gone. I clung to my bed and tried to calm down. This had to be a bad dream. By morning, I thought things would definitely make more sense. 6 o'clock, and we were awoken to the soft clanging of metal against wood. Our instructor was making a racket to get us up. We're going for a walk, he told all of us, and then led the way. But I wasn't moving until I knew what happened to Melody. Where is she? I demanded. The old man looked even more like his costume, like it was sticking to his skin. Her story is over now, was all he replied. Weirder still, The others didn't seem to care. The air was still damp, and he pointed towards the nearby bay where the fire trucks normally parked. "My children, you'll find some baskets in here, and a wheelbarrow. You'll need them for the task at hand," he said. He kept walking, fully expecting us to comply. I turned to Jen and tried to get her attention. "Hey, aren't you worried about her? She's your friend." Jen, however, seemed to be in a daze. "What am I supposed to do?" Ken helped me with the wheelbarrow. The ground was a bit muddy to push it. Felt like carrying a ton of bricks for half a mile. We strayed from the roads and into the menagerie of forest that thickened around the east. A gentle fog was rolling across our feet as the instructor told us where to start to pick up lumber. "Nature has a way of putting us in our place. We have so much to learn from them. If only we listened to the silence of their suffering," he said as we set back about our task. "Nature doesn't ask where it should be planted, or if it's meant to be. It simply accepts the circumstances and survives. Nature always thrives in any environment, any condition. There are no mistakes in nature." Greg was wandering a bit from the group. I was about to call him back when I heard the scream. Dropping the basket, I ran to his aid. Then I saw what caused his outburst. There, in the ravine below, Jen was sprawled out. Dead. And bruised from some vicious attack. Our teacher slowly walked over to see what the fuss was about, and Greg pulled out his phone, struggling to get a signal. "No damn reception out here," he muttered. Are the bears around here?" Ken asked nervously. "We have to do something," I insisted as I moved the wheelbarrow. "HalloweenTime is here. All the stories are being told," the instructor said mystically as Ken and I lifted Jen up into the wheelbarrow. "This was her time," he added in a stronger tone. "Like hell it was. She didn't know that she'd get mauled by a mountain lion," Ken muttered. "None of us know where fate will take us. Nature took its course with her. What do you think it tells you that you feel inclined to do something with her now, after the fact?" the teacher asked. "I have a sense of decency," Ken spat back, and then helped us to push the wheelbarrow back to VFD. "I still can't get a signal," Greg lamented as we walked. I could feel the old man's eyes watching us as we pushed her corpse away from the woods. He was judging our actions. When I looked back again, Greg was gone. And in his place, a wooden effigy. Ken, we have to get out of here." A few hours later, we were confirmed. The phone lines were down. The storm had knocked them out, and the VFD was running on an auxiliary generator. Our teacher returned shortly afterward, bringing a few knives and other instruments before remarking, "You two will be next. It can't be a story until all the characters play their part." Kenny's mouth was agape. "What is wrong with you? All right, this isn't a game. All our friends are dying." Our instructor went to his workspace and began to sharpen his blade. As he closed the door, I heard something move inside. "The hell was that?" I asked. And then, "Did you know that in the old days, when one of the tribe got sick, the others would offer it as a sacrifice to the gods to appease them? They felt that the weak only destabilized the structure of the entire group. So they sought balance. They sought to control a situation by appeasing a force beyond their control." Ken slammed his fist down and glared at him. "Don't talk in riddles. What the hell does that mean for us? Why are we still here?" The instructor turned to us, and I felt my stomach hollow as I realized he had been using his knife to carve at his mouth. He looked exactly like the dark demon from my dreams, like the cartoon I had tried to forget. "You never left, my children," he cackled as he towered over us. I felt like I could cry, a sickening feeling twisting in my stomach as he took the blade and then slammed it straight into Ken's body. I was numb to the fact that he too was now fading. My children, once you learn that everything in this world has its place to what is and is not possible, you will see that you have the capability of fulfilling any dream you have ever had. Your future is going to begin right here, and you will be responsible for it. Together, we will make it possible. Together, we are HalloweenTime. I stared back at him and I felt my body go numb. He was expecting me to blindly obey. This is where we all began, and where it all ends. There is no escape. It was only here and now, the monster said. The world around seemed to melt and conform into abstract shapes. I knew he was preparing to kill me too, make me a part of this twisted story, the one that he had designed. But no, something inside me chose to fight. I grabbed the small knife he had used to dissect the animals. I raced towards him, listening as he cackled madly. The room kept melting, and I kept screaming, and I wasn't going to let my story end here. I closed my eyes, and I kept stabbing. Until the laughter stopped. And then I opened them, and I realized I was alone. The faculty was gone, my friends, and the instructors too. I was alone. I walked for miles down a deserted road until I found a rest stop, and then I made a call. Getting the police to come pick me up, I just wanted to go home, but they insisted on asking questions. I told them about Asher's Grove and the strange HalloweenTime show that apparently my instructor had tried to bring to life. They didn't ask questions, they just listened. And when it was over and done, they went to talk to each other for a moment, and I knew what they must be thinking. I'm crazy. And maybe I am. I don't know anymore. A moment later, they told me what I was anticipating, or at least I thought they would. Do you remember how you got to this grove? They asked. No, my parents, I think. We've been checking our database. There's no record of you or any of your friends or even Asher Grove. I felt numb again as I looked at the data myself. How could that be? How could it all cease to exist? They let me go, and I thanked them for listening, but I felt even more lost than before. All that was left to remember any of this by was a notebook filled with memories. The only thing from the grove that hadn't faded away. Inside, there were cartoonish drawings, showing my friends, all of them playing happily in costume. And the final page had a message. Join us next time for an exciting episode of your own, it said. And I thought about it, maybe next year I would do just that. After all, if I'm not meant to be real, if we're all part of this evil, it's better if I fade away, right? All I ask for anyone still paying attention, stop watching. HalloweenTime is over. For now.
Hey there, kids, and happy Halloween. It's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I wanted to tell you thank you so much for watching tonight's video, or listening to tonight's episode, this Oktoberfest, on the podcast. If you're not listening on the podcast, then you always can listen on the podcast at Spotify, or just about anywhere you find a podcast. And if you're not listening on YouTube, then you can find it on YouTube, or just about anywhere you find a YouTube. I just want to remind all of you that if you're on a cold autumn night and you need a warm drink, then my wife sells tea. There's tea available at etsy.com/shop/ivorymonocletea. All different kinds, including those themed off of creepypastas, horror icons, horror monsters, and Dungeons & Dragons. And if you order that creepypasta set with the Mr. Creepypasta's Dark and Stormy Night, the actual tea that I drink while recording these stories, probably about 60% of the time, then you can always ask for that MCP dabbing sticker instead of the classic channel icon sticker. And I get a kick out of it every time someone asks her to do that. Also, I wanted to say thank you, all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. If you ever want to help support the show, keep the lights on, feed my cats and the like, you can always head over to patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, and you can support the show there. Even $1 is greatly appreciated. And I have a very special thank you to these guys, such as Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Mr. Thud, Ken Lando Higuchi, Chompski, Nico Kaeo, Tristain Pelton, Stephen VanHuss, Chance Burnett, Deanna Kraus, G. Weevil 3, TheRedOakShieldVirus, CoryxKenshin, Pothead Holmes, Rival1, JimboTheHutt, Caspian, Jordan Nells, The Village Witch, Hades' Nephew, Jordan Wayne Deckard, Bradley Leipe, and Charron, Acid System, Mike Bullock, Fooly Cooly Dude, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation, Brian Arse, Cryptic Nightmares, Shadow Morningstar, Brianna Wright, Someone You Love, Said the King 56, Bad Honey, S-Man, Kiri the Sloth, Thomas Burgett, Liam Newman, Sky Harbor, Caleb Dougal, Last Blade Song, Rafael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, and Aaron Stormcrow. And another thank you to all you guys who are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you all have a wonderfully happy Halloween. Sweet dreams.